Welcome to a new episode of Behind the Track. Today we're taking a look at our latest release, Straight Through Me. Now the track started with a really simple idea. I was just fooling around with my keyboard with a Supersaw loaded in some random synth, and I just came up with a super simple theme. And that's it, really simple, but it's usually how a lot of tracks start. You just have a simple idea, and then you, like in your head, you hear how can this sound in a full track. So yeah, that's the actual the whole idea I had to start with, and now let's look at how I built that into a track and yeah, added vocals and everything. Alright, so what I did after I had that idea was to just note it down in a clip here in Ableton. And this is the melody in as MIDI. What I then did was probably, this is actually, I think this track is probably started out a few, maybe 2 or even 3 years ago. So maybe 2. So I don't remember exactly what I did, but at least I found this preset that I liked here in Anna. I don't remember if I actually changed anything on it. But what I did do, you can listen as I enable all of these effects that I put on. So this is how it sounds just straight out of Anna, and I have some ping pong delay on it. Then I have another delay to give it a bit more stereo width, so one channel is offset a bit from the other. I don't usually do that so much anymore, but that's what I did then at least. And I guess one of the most important things on this one is the overdrive. Yeah, that's a lot better, right? And there's an EQ, I don't remember why I put that one on. There's another EQ here. This one actually makes quite a big difference. It boosts the mids here to like make the meat of it stand out, and then there's a side boost up here to give some more stereo width in the highs. Another EQ that doesn't do very much, and a transient shaper. So this is a very simple plugin that will just accentuate the attack a bit. And that's the lead. So after I have the lead in, then what I usually do then is I can stop this while I'm talking. What I do then is usually to start to come up with some sort of groove, and you can see here I have experimented quite a lot with different grooves. So, and I've even named some of them here, so it's easier to find out what they are. So here's the intro. So that's how the intro sounded when I was done with composing. And of course, after I am done composing, I go start to do mixing, and then I add more stuff. So you can see, for instance, here I have the main bass, which sounds like this. And I have this wide bass. But if you listen to the intro in the actual song, there's some more stuff going on here as well. So we have the main thing, and we have a sub, and we have some extra mids. So if you listen, just to give a bit more punch, and the sub, of course, for the sub, you might not even hear it on your system. But yeah, so altogether, this is what it's ended up with. So the main bass is again a Sonic Academy sample. Here's some automation I'm doing to silence the bass and then gradually open it up. If we just listen to the main bass, we also have an equalizer here. I don't remember why I did these changes. And this is sidechaining it from the kick. So if we add the kick as well, Here you can see I'm sidechaining so that the lower frequencies of the bass, they move away when the kick hits. And some Saturn, and yeah, some more automation. Yeah, that's it for the main bass. If we go back to how it is here, oops. We also have this sub bass, which is very simple, just a sub preset in ANA 2. So after composing and then before I started mixing, I had apparently bought ANA 2 as well. And then the mids thing is just also not very interesting. I'm cutting away the bass here to avoid conflicts with the actual bass. And yeah, I have one final bass here that I'm using only in the chorus, which is called Bright Attack. So if we listen to the bass in the chorus, then we can just listen to just the bass in the chorus. Yeah, so here we have a more like traditional, let's bring in the kick as well. Very traditional kind of trancey thing. So the same bass as before, in addition I put in this Bright Attack one. So again, just to give it more definition. So I guess that's what is to say about the bass. You can see it was quite simple here in the beginning when I composed it, and then I added some more layers when I mixed it to give it a fuller sound. Now onto the drums and percussion. So if we go back to the intro again, here's a percussion channel I have, and here's we can just listen to this in isolation. And I think that sounds a lot more interesting than just hi-hats, right? So I have a bunch of just samples just lying around that I browse through and then just see what I can find in them. So for this track I've been mainly using, it looks like I've been using mainly loops from Sennheiser, but instead of using the loops, like if you listen to how one of the loops sound, that's nice enough, but what I wanted was to just have some short bursts. So like, just found this piece, I just cut out this piece of that loop, and then here I have, yeah, let me turn off the overdrive. So, not very exciting. And that's a nice noisy thing. Yeah, so doesn't sound too exciting, but with the overdrive on it, suddenly it's a lot more interesting. So I like to do this a lot. So in this case, I chopped out some stuff from some loops. Oftentimes I will just use like samples of noise from wherever, or yeah, just anything can be used and chopped up, and usually I add some overdrive or a guitar amp or something to give it some more noisy texture. So together with the percussion is the kick. So here's a kick 2 from Sonic Academy. Not very interesting, quite short kick with some distortion on it. I like to keep it short because it's easier to mix it in with the bass. I think that's more visible in the chorus. So if we go to the chorus, if we just play the kick and the basses, like when it's going this quick and you have the dum da dum da dum da dum, you have to have a short kick. So what I often do is use a multi-analyzer. So here you can see I have the green is the kick and the blue is one of the basses. I don't remember, probably the main one. Now I can see that I don't get too much overlap between the kick and the bass, which is important. Oh, I should probably have actually fixed the tail on the bass a little bit here. But yeah, it's nice to avoid too much collision and build up there. So that's the main percussion kick and bass. But what I often like to do is that when you listen to something for a little while, you want to spice it up. So in the second half of the intro, I introduce some more stuff here. Just to keep it interesting. Here on the slightly to the left, I also have one of them pan to the left, one to the right to give a bit more stereo width as well. So here is one thing I do. This is normally just a dubstep loop actually, but I'm putting it through a vocoder, and the vocoder is getting the carrier from Massive. Just some noisy stuff I found here. So I put that through the vocoder with the dubstep loop, and then I add some overdrive, and I just pick out these frequencies I want to avoid muddying up everything. And at the same time I also introduce this one. If I disable all of these, this is again some loop. Loops are cheating, I think. But if you mangle them, I think it's okay, right? So I shift it down quite a lot with the frequency shifter. Then I have a half dry, half wet, shifting it up again, just to make it a bit weird. And then I put this phone preset from ProQ and this gate, which is quite cool. It just doesn't let all of it through, so it gets a bit more like stumbling. Right, then we get to the first verse, and if we just solo the drums and the bass again, we were doing this intro, and now comes the verse, and we add some actual hats. So in addition to the percussion that we looked at earlier, we have more regular stuff. So here's just a hat. I really like this hat. Just really short white burst thing. It's like very, I think it's very bouncy. So very light on your toes, kind of, and some snares. Oh, it's actually a clap. It's on my snares bus, but yeah, it's a clap. I think this sounds pretty good. So if we do all the drums and the bass together. And here is the teaser chorus. So the song is built up with a verse, then a chorus without vocals, second verse, and then the actual chorus. Little breakdown, third verse, and the chorus. So in the teaser chorus, I actually allowed myself to use a shaker loop. I don't use loops that much, but I did here. I've also done these hats, quite simple. I also added a snare in addition to the clap that we just saw. And I have the percussion, some of the percussion things going on. And yeah, with the shaker loop and the stuff we saw earlier. So and yeah, I think the drums are quite similar in the actual chorus. Then we have even more hats. And we have a much noisier snare as well. So we brought in this this one. It has some picked out just a part of it to avoid having too long of a tail, adding some overdrive and some compression. So now all the snares together sound like this, and I've offset them a bit as well to avoid everything just peaking at once. So this is how the chorus sounds in the drums and bass department. Right, then it's time to look at the leads, and in the verses there are no leads actually, it's just drums, bass and vocals. So So it's very naked, the instrumental here. Usually I have some leads as well, but in this one I found it just like nice with the groove and the vocals. Then the normal chorus, then we have the lead that we looked at earlier, which is the main lead of the song. And it's being accompanied by this pad. If you look back in this area, you can see I tried a lot of different variations here for pads until I found something I liked. So here's the pad that's playing. And it's again, I'm using Anna and I'm piping it through some stuff here. So if I disable this, this is the original. Then I add an amp just to make it a bit more noisy, like I like to do. And this wider plugin from Polyverse and Infected Mushroom is really nice to give more stereo width without screwing with your correlations. So it will still sound good in mono. This one I think is, yeah, makes it sound a bit nicer. And what's this one doing? Nothing. Anyway, yeah, so that's the pad. So instead of the regular verse chorus thing, I actually, the first time the chorus is supposed to play, I have this teaser chorus. So there's this saying, don't bore us, get to the chorus or whatever. You're supposed to play the chorus really early. In this one, you don't get the chorus until like 1 minute and 42 seconds or something into the track. So breaking the rules. In the teaser chorus, we are doing this. So this is the same instrument that I'm using here in the actual chorus. But I've just taken it down quite a lot. And I've given it some company by this. And then comes a bell. Which I think sounds quite nice in the mix. So this one, the bell. Again, Anna, some delay and some overdrive. And the Bim Bom thing is really simple, just not much going on. Again, equalizing quite a lot because there's so much going on. Nice to not take up too much room if you don't need it. So, and then in the actual chorus, again, I am introducing a bit of variation. So after you have listened to something for a while, I add a second lead, which goes like this. Just an ARP that I programmed here. It's again using just a synth and not much else, but it's a nice variation when it comes in. And this happens in the second part of the chorus as well. So those are all the leads, and the pads, I think they are basically the same. Yeah, so the pads are just there in the choruses, and that's it for the pads. Now on to the vocals. And the vocals in this track are quite a mess. I recorded this in a really nice studio, by the way, with Rune Minde. He's a really great guy. We did a lot of takes, and I kind of decided to use all of them. Yeah, so it's a bit messy, but I will take you through what I'm doing here. So what I usually do is I have like one main vocal track. We went fire and destruction. So I was a bit lazy here. I used a gate instead of actually chopping away all the silence. I have a compressor. I've been really not compressing a lot, so normally now I compress more than that. Then I have Isotope Nectar, adding some saturation, de-esser, and some distortion. So if you just listen to without it, with, just makes it a bit fatter, and I also have a very slightly mixed in tape saturation in Saturn. It just warms it up a bit. So that's the main vocal track. Then I have two dubs. I like to do that as well. So I have one hard panned left and one hard panned right, just to make it a bit fuller. So without the dubs, rising together through the storm. With the dubs, and spinning our web of deception. And in addition, I have some whisper dubs. So if we do all of those, so the main one and the dubs without the whispers, and then bring in the whispers, and then with the whisper dubs. Rising together through the storm. Now that becomes very obvious here in isolation, but in the full mix you don't hear it that much. You don't actually hear me whispering. You just it makes it a bit cooler sounding, so to speak. And yeah, then we have all these extra dubs. I had to use all the dubs for some reason here, so I just had all these extra takes where I just done some ad-libbing. I just decided for some reason to use all of them and routed through this extra dubs bus here. So that's that effect that you might have heard. Swelling up there. So what did I do here? I just used all of these dubs to make it sound wider, compressed it a bit. Then Nectar is doing quite a lot of the heavy lifting here with some harmony, pitched it up an octave, one of them panned left, one of them panned right, so without and with it. And I had to de-ess it and distorting it a bit as well here in Nectar. Some delay, and then this wider plugin again, which is nice for safe stereo width. And ooh, look at me. Yeah, again, more stereo width in the highs here, and then probably carving out some mids for the actual main vocal here to make it easier to actually hear what I'm singing. And then all of that gets here, extra dubs gets routed through these. One of them is this Valhalla reverb, which I have gained down to -infinity and then just swells up. So that's where you get that swelling effect from. Some erosion on this as well, some more widening. And yeah, that's it for the verse vocals. And I have some channels here also that I don't use. So I was experimenting with some effects. So I have this Robo Reply, which is muted now. I was trying out some stuff with like that. I have some vocal chops I was trying just to make it more interesting. But I prefer the vocals to be more... I shouldn't say this after showing you all these extra dubs, but I prefer the vocals to be more natural and honest and not too crazy. Alright, then let's look at the chorus vocals. This is such a mess that I grouped all the verse vox into a group, and here are the chorus vox with some subgroups as well. This is by far the messiest vocal mix I've ever done, and I'm never gonna do it this complicated again. But anyway, the main part here is, as usual, just a plain main vox. I see you coming towards me. Then with a left and a right dub. So in combination, I won't turn away, and then you run straight. Sounds like this, and I have used Nectar again for some distortion, de-essing, and saturation. some Saturn to warm it up a bit, and of course, as always, some EQing at the end to make it sound nice. And that's
I see you coming towards me.
almost all of the stuff that's going on in the chorus. But then again, I had all these dubs that I recorded with Rune, so I figured I have to use them, and so I added some stuff here. I don't know why I did all of this stuff. So I added all of these and running through some overdrive, and the Nectar is here again doing the same as before. Then I figured that it lacked a bit of energy. So actually what I did, I recorded this myself after I started mixing, and that's a good tip, I think. Even if you're mixing someone else's music, you can always do this as well. If it's lacking something, just do some recording at home and add it at the end. So I added some harsh vocals here just to spice it up a bit. You don't really hear that much in the final mix. You can't like discern it, but it just gives it a bit more energy. So yeah, running it through an amp. So if I just listen to this one, like this harsh whisper thing. Oops. With an amp, and the same going on here on the other one. So if we listen to just the main vox here,
I see you coming towards me.
and we can add in the harsh stuff.
I see you coming towards me.
I think it gives it a bit more energy. So all of the vox here
I see you coming towards me.
sounds fairly clean even with all these channels, and again not too many of them are playing now. But now we get some of these extra stuff.
And then you run straight through me. You run straight through me.
Just filling it out.
I turn around.
And one thing I did as well, as I want to just mention, is in the end here I am thinning out the vocals almost at the very end. So if you listen closer to the vocals, you can hear something happening. Wait for it. And now listen. So what I do there is just, since like everything is fading out in the end, like I'm taking out various parts and it's more naked in the end, so I'm actually just automating the reverb. So if you look here, I took down the reverb quite a lot, just to make it feel a bit more personal, since, well, it's the end of the song, most of the instruments have been taken out and I'm singing "You Are Gone," and I just wanted to make that sound a bit more naked. Then finally, the last thing to look at is the sound effects, and one of the sound effects we already heard, it's this one, which we heard as part of the drums thing, and maybe I should just have put it in the percussion group anyway. But then we have some other stuff going on here. So in the teaser chorus, just a nice sample from Ultimate Effects, just adding some atmosphere and some crashes. And down here we have this riser. Yeah, so typical stuff like that, and a bunch of more impacts and crashes and just variations that you basically have to put in these kinds of tracks to give some variation and some impact on in breaks and stuff. So you can see there are two breaks. There's a short break here and a big break here, and those are the ones that have the most of this stuff. And then there are some crashes when things happen otherwise as well. And that's it for Straight Through Me. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you again for our next release. We're doing bi-monthly single releases now, and we've been doing that for a few months, and we are gonna continue with that for quite a long while going forward. So yeah, just pay attention. Every second month we release a new single, and then in between we release behind the track for that track. So remember to like and subscribe and all of that stuff, and then see you next time.